Hey, what's up, America? It's the very angry black TDS Solar guy again. This is the third edition of the Angry Black Man series. And yeah, we wasn't able to stay in DC that long, man. It was cold, raining, and everything. So we're back here in Ohio. We're actually on the south side of Dayton at the Dayton Power and Light, DP&L, that's the utility around here, their Yankee Road solar array. Which actually, this array was done back in 2009 and 2010. I don't know if you can see it or not, but look like the land has settled just a little bit. Because back in the day, about 10 years ago, that line was straight. But now since the land has shifted just a little bit, it's created just a little bit of movement in the panels. Now this array has been here for over 10 years. And of course, I don't know what power it has put into DP&L's territory because no one really knows. I guess you just have to dig a little bit deeper about these solar arrays. Because unfortunately, it's not put out there for everyone to see. And that's the same thing about the solar industry. Man, there's so much deception and things going on right now within the industry that the truth has never really came out. You know, it's still glossed over. It's still described as something that, you know, it's just unreliable. Nobody needs to believe in it. But there's many companies becoming billionaire companies because of this. Why ain't Black America involved? It's kind of sad, man. These things are taking the country by storm. I just want to know, where's the black involvement? Where's the black education about this? Where's the black people's involvement? Man, there's so many jobs, so much things we can do for our environment, so many well-paying jobs. We need to come together, people, and realize what's going on here. Now, of course, I did say the TDS, the Trump derangement syndrome. It's one of the reasons I'm able to do this. The fool's back from Florida, and the impeachment case has started. Of course, it started yesterday. This man has already tweeted 140 times about the hoax, about the trial, that he put himself in the situation. Man, hopefully we can get this guy caught and get him out of here. He's really causing mass problems in the United States. They just had a rally in Richmond, Virginia, where it was almost like a powder keg. Everybody's waiting for it to explode. I'm glad it didn't explode, but just the pressure that was put on both sides down there, man, everybody's walking around with guns and everything, long guns, this and that. Things could have popped off at a moment's notice. You know, he would have sat back, watched it pop off, even though he did tweet, said, hey, man, people are, well, it's the Democrats, of course. Democrats are trying to take your Second Amendment rights and are coming after your guns. You know, he basically told the people to go down there with their guns and be ready to defend yourself. Nothing happened, sir. Swallow that. So back to this array here. I might have to revisit this, but for some reason I thought they had some First Solar panels here, which First Solar was one of the first American panel manufacturers here in the United States. They started in 1999, and they have been able to survive up to this point. Unfortunately, I read within the last couple weeks that they finally went belly up too. And the reason they lasted this long is when they first came into existence, they sold exclusively to Germany during their solar revolution. So an American company come up, sell everything they got to Germany, and that was the only way they was able to last this long. Probably within the last 5 to 7 years, they started selling to American companies, maybe 10 years, started selling to Americans. That was their downfall. And like I said, they got slapped with some kind of lawsuit for $350 million just within the last several weeks. So they're no longer here no more. A little bit of backstory about that. When the solar industry started in mid-2000, probably about 2004 or 5, when everything started going up and everything, I actually moved out to Tucson, Arizona. Man, there was an American manufacturer on every corner. There was a German manufacturer on every other corner. Everything was thriving for a long time. I mean, that's when Solyndra came in. They got their $500 million from the government and everything. But of course, being the capitalistic country that we are, all the Chinese manufacturers, they put a solar panel company on every corner over in China. So the next thing you know, the Chinese wave hit. And you know, there's a little comparison that I'll put out there. All the Chinese panels were probably about $1 a piece, but the American panels were $4 a piece. So I ain't even got to finish that. What do you think the American consumer bought? The $1 Chinese panel. They flooded our market with Chinese panels. All the American panel manufacturers went under. Even to this day, we still have warehouses full of Chinese panels. We actually have a few American companies that have started up here recently. I think there's a Mission Solar out of Albuquerque, New Mexico. But for the most part, man, the American companies, there is none. We actually had a black company in Atlanta, Georgia called Suniva. Suniva Solar, S-U-N-I-V-A. And they was able to thrive for a while. But like I said, the American appetite turned to cheap Chinese panels, and every American manufacturer went over. So I'll be going to that in a little bit more detail here a little bit later on in the series. Crazy enough, like I said, there's a handful of American companies that are still doing solar. Man, they're going behind closed doors with these American utilities. And one company I will put out there, you know, I do have the freedom of speech. That's my First Amendment right. I actually say their name. They're called Hecate Energy. This company has over 8,000 megawatts in their pipeline. 8,000 megawatts in their pipeline. Man, that means their kids is kids, and their 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 kids will be rich forever. I mean, there's 10 generations down the line that are going to be rich from these 1 or 2 companies that are going behind closed doors and making these deals with the utility. You know, don't get me wrong, man, the utility has played a big part in America's failure to embrace the solar industry. You know, first of all, they don't want to buy the power made by solar because it's still cheaper to do gas, oil, natural gas, oil, and coal. That's still the cheapest forms of energy. So instead of us addressing the immediate problem, which is how we see energy, we're actually addressing the results of our failures. I'll say that again. We are addressing the results of our failures than the actual cause of our failures. It just don't make sense, people. It don't make sense. We're having these outrageous storms and everything nowadays. Right here in Dayton, we had 15 tornadoes last Memorial Day. Actually, in my series, we're going to go to one of the sites that still tore up from the floor up and let you see for sure. Well, let you see with your own eyes, man, our failures in this. So, man, I say this with a heavy heart, man. We could have done so much better in the solar industry. We're actually outside of this array. There's actually a few monitors down here. Of course, they're out now. I don't think they're maintained or anything. Another failure of our solar industry. But it would say the real-time output of what this station is putting out right now. A real-time output, you know, all the greenhouse gases that it has saved, all the CO2 emissions that it has saved. And that's one thing we'll have when I get the business started up. Whenever we do this at a school, we'll have a monitor in the hallway so people can actually come up and see real-time information. Whenever we do this at a fire station or a police station, we'll have one of these monitors out showing what it's doing in real time. We'll have this at everything that we do, any business that we do, any residence that we do, any landowner that we do. They will be able to see a monitor and see real time what that solar system is putting out, what they have saved, and so forth. It's going to be a comprehensive schematic of what solar is doing for them. So just like I said, this has been here for over 10 years. I actually came here when it was first put up, man. It was all lit up and everything. Monitors showing everything that's going on. America, we have failed solar. We have failed solar. It has been here the whole time. We still have the ability to do great things in the solar industry. But like I said, a handful of companies, man, Hecate Energy, they have 8,000 megawatts in their pipeline. I'm going to give you an example of a megawatt, 1 megawatt, not 8,000. With 1 megawatt, I can put a 10K system on 330 homes. I can put a 100 kW system on 10 businesses, or I can put a 250 kW array, almost similar to this one, in a landowner's backyard. So with 1 megawatt in 1 year, I could do 330 homes, 10 businesses, or 4 farms. That's just 1 megawatt. The goal is to have 5 megawatts as part of this 5-year pilot program of where we can install 5 megawatts per year for 5 years. That's over 1,500 homes. That's over 100 businesses. And that's over 16 farms. Actually 20 farms, sorry about that. We'll get all that straight, man. It's just a work in progress. Man, I've been doing this over 15 years. A little bit later on in this series, I'm actually going to take you to some residences that I personally done and show you what one array of this can do. People, it's a no-brainer. We could be taking advantage of clean energy, and not have to worry about harming our environment with plentiful jobs for everyone.